Let this light remove all ignorance in the form of darkness, bring in enlightenment, abundance of health, wealth, and prosperity.
From the first floor. We have a fire chute on the right hand side. This is going to be the main hall for the first.
For all of you, those who miss your regular exercise or yoga, probably you can compensate with clapping well. May we now request Siteshwar Balla to present a bouquet to Sri Gopal Krishna Agarwal, Independent Director on Boards. A big round of applause, please. May we request Sri Ravi Veeraraghavan to present a bouquet to see Dr. Abhishek Mitra, Immediate Past President, ICR. A round of applause, please. Thank you. May we now request K. Vidyadharan.
Amazing thing is that the entire team was ably led by one single person, our own ladies superstar, Srimati Uma Prakash. Not only that, in the history of IEA India, Uma Prakash is the first woman president of IEA India. So, woman power is superpower. But I'll be failing in my duty if I do not mention an untiring man, a man with a unique style of management, our young, dynamic and go-getter, our Madras Chapter President, Mr. Ravi Veeraraghavan. I am sure these 2 days will be remembered forever by all of us. The technical sessions are far too superior in terms of technical content. I must mention 2 persons who have made exemplary contribution by way of selecting topics and eminent speakers, and they are Mr. KVS Manian, past president of IEA Madras, and Mr. Krishna Chaitanya, past president of IEA Madras. They are in the technical committee. Also, last but not the least important, our doyen in the profession of internal auditing, Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Mr. P.R. Loganathan. His contribution is noteworthy. I can also say for sure that the reason for drawing record number of delegates is that the technical content of the conference is much superior, and our Madras chapter is known for giving high caliber speakers and topics. I am sure you will have enormous food for thought and lot of take-home points in these 2 days. With this brief note, I thank you all for patient hearing and thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Was that today you know that the theme of the conference is digital resilience, reinventing internal audit. We are at such an interesting time in the history where we are witnessing so much of transformation across various aspects, be it logistics, be it production, be it services being offered. There are so many things which are happening but we are witnessing some of the changes which no other person would have witnessed. So I would say we are having a breakneck pace where what was there last year is not there today, and you would readily agree that because of this rapidly evolving landscape, we also need to catch up with the requirements, and we need to quickly upskill and be ready to offer better services and value to our organizations. So we have a lot of challenges because of this, because when the scenario is changing, we also need to quickly upskill. We need to ensure that we are ready to deliver what our internal or external customer is expected to get from us, and also we need to ensure that we add value to the overall business. So with that in mind, we constantly do various trainings. So this particular 2-day conference is going to be one among them, but certainly you're going to hear some of the best of the thoughts from the best of the minds across the country. So this also gives us a lot of new opportunities, and hitherto we would not have been doing certain things which we'll be doing after you attend this 2 days conference. You will be hearing, you will also be ushering into a lot of new things. So there's going to be a power-packed inaugural. We have all our dignitaries here on the dais who are going to do the inaugural. They will set the tone, post which we will have 3 key tracks. The first track is emerging technologies, second one is risk trends, and the third one is evolving mindset. And we will also have a fireside chat with Ms. Arundhati Bhattacharya, chairperson and CEO of Salesforce India, who would share insights about management, as well as how women empowerment helps, and as well as things like what are the new things which are being done in the corporate setup. And post that, we will have a special session with the CEO elect of IEA Global. That will be coordinated by Mr. Purjin. And we will also have 2 panel discussions, one on today and the other one on tomorrow. The first panel session will be on demonstrating IA value, which will help you in understanding how we need to upskill ourselves as well as do things differently, because today internal auditors are not just looked at auditors, they are also expected to do many things in the organization. That you will understand what are the things you can do better, so that you will deliver better value to the organization. And we will also have one important session, panel discussion tomorrow, which will be always topic of contention, which is 3 lines model. Of course, it was previously 3 lines of defense. Now it has become 3 lines model by IAEA. Quite a lot of things have changed in that, and it is important that we understand what exactly is 3 lines model. More than that, we also need to understand what is the role of, or what is the expectation of the internal auditor in the 3 lines model. Because today, many times it so happens that either we are expected to deliver too much, or be responsible and accountable for things which we are not originally expected to be responsible. So we will understand this so that we can better articulate and position ourselves in the organization. And we will have a special technology session with Walter Kluwer's teammate, and it will be on leveraging technology on the path to digital resilience. And there will also be a management talk. This management talk would be done by none other than the popular writer and management guru, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. That will be on tomorrow. And you will also have a lot of opportunity to network. And one thing which I would like to say is, all these were, as Mr. Vidyadharan was saying, we have done quite a lot, but again, it should transform into value to all of you. I hope all of you would enjoy this conference both the days and get the best benefit out of it. In fact, I also want to thank Mr. Krishna Chaitanya for providing his valuable inputs, but for which we will not have the kind of content what we are having. I also thank Mr. Uma for giving me this opportunity to lead the technical committee, and more than anything, I thank all the BOGs for understanding whenever I say no for certain things. So I thank all of you. Just like you, I'm also eagerly awaiting. I want to be part of you and learn quite a lot as part of this 2 days session. Thank you so much.
Dwell too much on the conference now itself. So probably I thought I would take you back a little few years back, to the origin of the IAA, because many of the participants will also be new and the dignitaries are new, and we have some people from the Pan India, from Mumbai, Bangalore. So I thought probably I will give a little bit of a history of the IAA. Chennai was the first chapter where IAA was founded in 1977 by none other than our veteran Mr. P.R. Loganathan and Mr. Sheshasai from Ashok Leyland. So this was the only chapter at that time as part of the All India in 1977. Around 2011, the IAA India was called upon, and then we formed the IAA India chapter. And based on that, we have now all the 6 chapters in all the metros. So that is where the thing. So my experience I would like to share here, because it's a president such as I thought I will talk you my journey in the IAA. I joined in 2003, so I'm 21 years old to this association, I should say. It's more my extended family, extended home. It's been my calling, it's been my passion, whatever you want to call it with the jargons. IAA has been my next to my career, I would say. In fact, towards the end, it has been more than my career, because I've devoted more time to this IAA, that's what I would say. And that's why I'm here today. And it's all due to the support that has been given by the Madras chapter. Madras chapter has been the one who has introduced the women concept of a BOG, and that's why I could enter into this forum. So and that's the only reason why I am here today after 20 years as the first woman. Of course, that's not a good sign also for the All India level, because we need to look at more women to come in, which we are currently doing. I would like to tell in connection with this, Mr. Sid, who is sitting here, he has been the person who is responsible to start the Women's Forum in Delhi in 2019. So we have started the IAA India Women's Forum, which runs across all the 6 chapters, and there are women chairs representing this Women's Forum in all the 6 chapters. In fact, Mrs. Lalita, who is here, she represents Bangalore, and we have Deepika here, who manages the Chennai chapter, who is a rocking superstar for our Chennai chapter also. So we have all these women now coming in all the 6 chapters. The others, of course, could not participate. So this is how we have now evolved over a period of time. And so when I joined, how I came into this council position, I would like to say, because it's a little interesting anecdote. In 2005 or 6 or 7, we had a very rainy AGM. And even those days, even for the monthly professional meetings, we used to have hardly 3 attendees or 4 attendees, probably 10. And I was the only one who was a very regular attendee of the monthly programs. So one senior, Mr. P.C. Anand, called and asked me, Uma, we have very few, I see you for every monthly meeting. Why don't you get associated with us and become a treasurer? I said, yeah, why not? It's interesting, so it's interesting, let me get into it. So that's how I got into a council position in 2006 after that. And so I've been working with them. And today, we have more than 4,500 members at the All India. And we have come to a stage where in the last 8-9 years, continuously we are doing this multiple track session in Chennai with more than 150 participants. And we have now culminated here this year with a 300 record participation, thanks to our untiring efforts, chapter president Mr. Ravi also. Of course, without that, we would not have been able to get into this level of participation. Of course, next year we hope to make it little more than this, more vibrant even than this in the coming years. So we expect a lot of activities that's happening in IAA India. I would just like to touch upon for 1 minute on the activities that we carry on at the All India level. We have a lot of training programs with corporates, public sector enterprises. In fact, recently we have launched a training program with the LIC, and we are also talking to the Reserve Bank of India. Ma'am also has come, CFO of Reserve Bank has come here. So we are also talking to them on training initiatives. We recently concluded a training program with the Indian Oil Corporation. So these are of the training initiatives. And our Student Development Committee is a very active at the All India level. Ms. Sana Baka heads that committee, and we have 3-4 learning partners who work with us to propagate and to do advocacy about this CAA awareness course and CAA challenge exams, about the various other courses that is offered by this institute. So that student development is a very important activity in the running years also to come, because we are also talking to do NCVRT, which is a vocational training center. We are going to have a tie-up soon, pan-India, across all the universities. We are going to introduce the internal audit as a value-add course in all the colleges. So that is going to be the awareness amongst the students, which is going to be an employment opportunities for the students, so that they really stand out when they go for an interview. We are going to equip them with that kind of a thing. Apart from the corporates, our focus is also now with the student community. So these are all some of the activities that I thought I should share it with you that we do at the All India level. And Mr. Sid, who is there, is the Senior Vice President. He will be taking over from me next year. We have the entire council from the All India. We have Mr. Wurzin, who will be hosting a session post-lunch. He is the Vice President. And we have Mr. Krishnan Venugopal from Infosys, who is the Secretary of the All India. I am so happy in this conference today. We have the entire All India Council. We have participants from Mumbai, Bangalore, everywhere. We have speakers representing the All India from Kolkata, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, everywhere. And we also collaboration partners pan-India. So we have BPCL from Mumbai, we have Teammate from Mumbai, we are from Delhi, we are from Hyderabad. So from Bangalore, we are so proud, we are so privileged. And once again, I take this opportunity to thank all the collaboration partners who have been part of us in taking this initiative. Thank you very much.
Women power is in full display, ma'am. Ma'am? Women power is in full display. I want to give her a big hand. And I also appreciate for any professional institution, it is very important of skilling and creating capacity building. Your initiative, what you told about connecting this profession with the university is very much appreciable, because my experience with industry and working with different departments has been that at times capacity is lacking, and when people are searching for jobs etc. at the same time, industries etc. are also finding that capacity or right skills are not available. So I appreciate this effort, and I would also thank all of you for giving this opportunity. My co-panelist Roman ji, और जो रवि जी का इंट्रोडक्टरी रिमार्क अभी था, देवाशीष मित्रा जी और ये सिद्धेश्वर, it gives me immense pleasure. I think in my keynote address, one thing, because of my working with the government, I would like to share that Indian economy is at a crux where there is a big boost for the whole economy. It is not only that we are talking about that the growth in the economy and potential about Indian economy, but even global players are also seeing the big potential in the economy in the coming decades. That's very important. Second point I would like to mention is that wealth creators are very important. And same thing, wealth creation and wealth creators, they are very important for any economy. Globally, whichever countries have developed and got the leadership at the global level, they have been economic superpowers. So unless any country or nation builds and supports wealth creators, and wealth creation is the focus of their governance, no country can progress. And if we see there is a big view on the Indian side, it is because people feel that Indian economy is poised to a very big growth. And our current dispensation, I also know that we as a government respect this, because our experience over the last 75 years of independence has been that purely distributive model, whether at the state level or at the central level, are not successful. Unless you create wealth, you cannot sustain the distributive model, and the growth cannot reach to the last person. In 2014, when Prime Minister Modi ji took charge, he said that the size of the cake does matter. So in the last 8 or 9 years of the current dispensation, you see our effort has been to support and build industries, support businessmen, support wealth creators. That's an important part. That is the focus of the government. And if you look, we have a vibrant democracy, and the enlightened citizen is very important for a vibrant democracy. Similarly, for economic growth, corporate citizens are very important, and corporate citizens our forefathers in the constitution has said that purely political democracy without economic democracy or growth, we will not be able to achieve what we envisage for India in the future. So for the economic democracy, we have achieved a lot in the political democracy with the universal franchise, everybody has the equal vote, but there has to be lot of things to be done on the economic side of the growth, and therefore we consider corporate citizens an important part of the economic growth. That's very important. And for strong and vibrant corporate citizens, it is important that corporate governance is well entrenched in the whole ecosystem. And for that, we need transparency, corruption-free mechanism. All these are important for vibrant and strong corporate citizenship. And I would just like to mention some of the initiatives on the last 9 years where the current dispensation at the center has been working to create an ecosystem of corruption-free mechanism, transparent mechanism, more and more digital initiatives so that the whole governance is efficient, targeted, and is corruption-free, and the system is well entrenched into people have equal opportunities. Those all initiatives are very important focus of our governance. Whether it is improving of the compliance, build robust corporate governance ecosystem has been an important initiative over the last 8 or 9 years. And if you look into the current, when we are coming to the 75th year of our independence, we call it as an Amrit Kal. And the current situation in the global economy is quite challenging. The challenges of inflation, challenges of recession, challenges of fiscal deficit because of the pandemic have created havoc with major economic drivers of the globe, whether it is the United States, whether European economy or China. These three were catalyzing the global economy. But all the three economies are facing certain challenges of inflation, recession, or fiscal deficit, or energy crisis, or post-pandemic issues. But Indian economy, post-pandemic, has been able to balance these three macroeconomic very nicely. The inflation, which is a big challenge for global economy, is under control. The RBI has set a target of 6% of inflation, but it is within that 6%. The inflation rate was 5.7% of the GDP over the last years, and the future. The target that RBI said that it will be contained within the limit of 6% of the GDP. Recession, the economic survey this year says that recession, we are out of the recession. We are one of the outlier at the global economic level. We are one of the fastest growing economy. We are at present also attracting a lot of investment at the global level, lot of FDI is coming. So recession and inflation have been well under containment, and in this budget, the government has also looked into containing the fiscal deficit. At the time of pandemic, our fiscal deficit had crossed around 9%. But for this current last year which has gone, the government had set up a fiscal deficit target of 6.5%. The government has been able to achieve that fiscal deficit, and now the government has also set up a glide path for the fiscal deficit, that in the current budget, the government has set up a fiscal deficit target of 5.7%, and the next year is 4.5%. So three major macroeconomic parameters which govern the economic growth and development of any country, inflation, recession, and fiscal deficit, are well within the reach, and currently the Indian economy is robust because these three macroeconomic parameters are within control of the government. On this sound foundation of economic growth, the current budget has been brought by the government, and the current budget, which also talks of some important areas which will lay the foundation for next 10 or 1 or 2 decades, is important for all of us to understand. What I would also like to mention is, when we are talking about corporate governance, the government philosophy has been 4 pillars of our government over the last years. One important pillar was identify a problem. Wherever there are problems, identify it. Build. Second pillar was build a technological solution. Identify a technological solution to that problem. If the government for social welfare scheme was finding that there are huge leakages in the system, the delivery of the welfare schemes are not going to the targeted person, the government identified a technical solution of Jan Dhan account, GEM, etc. So find a technical solution for a problem, identify a problem, find a technical solution to the problem, and integrate the stakeholders. The third pillar is integrate the stakeholders to that solution, whether it is banks, social welfare schemes, or beneficiaries, all have been connected with this. You will see that these 3 pillars in everywhere. And the fourth important pillar that the government is working on is creating a matrix of performance. Give a target to the people, give a target to definite numbers to any achievement, whether it is opening of number of toilets, whether opening of Jan Dhan account, whether Ayushman Bharat, building of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, all have been a targeted delivery so that the performance metrics can be created and the performance of the stakeholders can be analyzed. So under these 4 pillars, the government has been able to find various solutions. I would also like to mention here one more example recently. When this pandemic crisis came, and earlier also when we were facing a global increase in fuel prices, the prices of global crude oil was increasing, and we wanted to import whether from Iran or from Russia. There was a problem that the sanction and the settlement was not being taking place. I was working in Bank of Baroda. That time we found that if we import from Iran or any other country where there are sanctions, the settlement problem will increase. So government came out with the solution to build an alternative settlement for the SWIFT, and that initiative has helped us to overcome the problems of challenges of global settlement. Similarly, recently to payment for to the Russia, the dollars were not being made available from the global communities. So the government has also started initiative about bilateral trade in the form of rupee. Whether finding an alternative to SWIFT, whether finding an alternative to dollar hegemony, all these, I can give immense examples where technology has been an important initiative of the government to find the solution to the problem. And I think today's seminar, which also talks about the digital resilience, is an important part. And in this budget, the government has also taken a lot of initiatives to promote this segment. There are 2-3 areas where the future of the economy growth can come. It is about knowledge economy. Prime Minister says that where we have a strong potential for growth, we have to work on those sectors. And on the Digital India initiative, several initiatives have already been taken, whether for digital payment, UPI, hashtag payment, etc. Government is working on association with other countries also to promote rupee card, etc. So digital payment is a big initiative under the Digital India. The government has taken a lot of initiatives. Furthermore, initiatives are being taken place. Several other initiatives for creating a transparent business ecosystem, whether in the form of GST, completely online mechanism of assessment, registration, refund, etc. is integrating various transactions, creating complete audit trail are there. Then virtual assessment is also taking place. Then GEM, ONDC, trades, all these COVID, DigiLocker. So under the Digital India initiative, many of the initiatives have been taken by the government. The government in this budget also would like to promote these initiatives. Lot of funds have been allocated. The budget talks about setting up 100 5G labs for that, giving lot of support to the blockchain technology, where new initiatives can be built, new audit trails can be established. And the Prime Minister has also said in this budget that artificial intelligence, which will be growth propeller for the world economy. We want the artificial intelligence to work for India. That's also an important initiative in this budget. The government has also taken an initiative to set up 100 e-courts, complete digitization of court records. Now, Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji is talking about data protection bill. Many discussions are taking place. So, data is an important part of the whole ecosystem. Properly regulating that data, creating a mechanism for analyzing that data, creating a conducive environment for research, development, etc. for this has been an important initiative of the government on the digital side. Some of the initiatives that I would like to say, as far as my experience on the board has been, that over several years, the institution of independent director has seen major growth, whether from the initiative of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs or SEBI, or even in Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs has taken a lot of initiative for building big data for the independent directors, their capacity enhancement. I was on the board of Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs for 4 years. That time this whole data bank of independent directors was created, and the Prime Minister himself launched this initiative to create their capacity. And my experience at the board has been that if the independent directors work in association with internal auditors, because internal auditor is a very important initiative for corporate governance. If independent directors work in association, because the information flow to the independent directors at the board level and sometimes is quite difficult. What to get, how to get, this is my experience has been that if I use independent internal auditor association for getting segmental reports, giving them chance and independence to interact with the audit committee at a separate meeting, asking the management to give the complete observation.
So always enjoyable. And then of course I was fortunate to do many other things as well. So today what I thought was, I can't teach you internal audit, I think you're all far better than me. But what I thought I could do is give a CEO's perspective, right? Because obviously as internal auditors, you have a responsibility towards with the board and the governance and others. But as a CEO, when I wake up in the morning, or CEOs wake up in the morning, what are they thinking? And is internal audit helping them become better CEOs, manage their companies much better? And so that's the perspective. So I'll give just a few things. Today, if you look at in terms of just the disruption in the world, we call it the VUCA world, right? volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. That volatility of the world is at a different level, in the sense that if you take risk incidents over the last 100 years and if you take the risk incidents over the last 10 years, they would match, just in terms of the sheer volatility of what's happening. And today the world is extraordinarily interconnected, right? So if it rains in Thailand and there is a flood in Thailand, it can cause a semiconductor shortage in most parts of the world, so your automobiles will not work. A crisis in Ukraine can have far-reaching effects across the world. So it's really, in some sense, an extremely volatile world. And what are CEOs looking at, right? Then there are, we spoke about, what the Prime Minister's option will happen, when it will happen. Earlier it was fairly stable businesses. Today you can be out. I mean, the whole of Tesla just, all motor companies put together have the same market cap as Tesla, right? It's just an extraordinarily disruptive world that's actually happening. So as a CEO, what are they looking? They're looking whether their organization is resilient, their organization can manage the crisis. And I'll link each of this back to what internal auditors should do. But it's very important that if there are massive amounts of crisis happening, and if the organization is not resilient, it will fall. So somebody who helps this resilience testing is really the internal auditors. You actually do a lot of stress testing across the organization to figure out what are the points of that vulnerabilities, and actually does the organization have controls to manage that. And I don't talk only about financial controls, these are all kinds of controls. The second is, as a CEO, all CEOs. If you become a CEO, you're not a maintenance guy. You're here to, you normally come with a growth mindset. Right? Very few CEOs will say, okay, let's status quo, we'll do nothing different, we'll continue forever. But if you have to build, and every crisis is an opportunity, because that's how the CEOs think. But if you have to build in a crisis, if you have to build in a world which is not necessarily all optimistic, you have to have courage and you have to have guts. But you cannot have the courage if you don't know that there are people backing you up on the control side. I can drive faster because I have brakes. I don't drive because I can brake. I can actually drive faster. Who are the people who are actually helping me drive faster? That is that internal audit community, which can actually help me with this. So very important. I'm again and again coming about, these are my business priorities, right? Third, the topic of it is about digital. The number of things that are going to happen across in the digital world in the next 10 years is going to be more than what has ever happened in the history of humankind. Typically today, more data is created every year than what's happened in the last 100 years. Right? So there is massive amounts of digital transformation. But as a CEO, is it fun, or is it for the myth that I'm doing digital transformation, or I'm doing it to create a competitive advantage? Is there a competitive advantage by which I can digitally transform my company, I can IoT enable my factories, so that my productivity, my things will improve? So for that, extremely important that this fraternity, how digitally savvy are you? And most people think, okay, it means I have to understand technology, I need to code. You don't need to code. But do you really understand the various technologies that are coming in, and you can't be outside it? The fourth is the whole workplace is changing. Right? The worker, the workplace, all of that is changing. It's a hybrid world. You had a lot of controls when everything was physical. Now in this hybrid world and hybrid environment, what kind of controls exist? And the workforce, they want to remain much more engaged. The thing that CEOs struggle is with saying that how do you keep your workforce so engaged? Newer workforce that comes in. Some of us are older, have a different style, but the newer kids are very, very different. Their ambitions are different, their aspirations are different. How do you manage that? Provide that kind of an environment, but at the same time, safeguarding the interests of the organization. And the last bit in terms of, on every CEO's mind, is the path to net zero. How do companies become more sustainable, more responsible citizens right? Do our bit for the planet, because the climate accidents are happening at a far alarming pace. And every company, every organization, every government organization, all of that need to keep a roadmap on path to net zero. So, as internal auditors, what are we doing for path to net zero? What are we doing on sustainability? So these are just 4 or 5 things in terms of the CEO's perspective. And therefore from an IA perspective, and I'm taking certain things as granted, independence, integrity, all of that is done, whatever issues. So I'm just going to give a different lens, but please don't forget the other lens, just because I'm not focusing on it. My lens is saying that as an internal auditor, are you giving me anything futuristic? Are you telling me what is going to fail rather than only what has failed? It's very important, because you have a line of sight. There is actually nobody who is more connected across the entire organization than the internal audit fraternity. You actually know what's happening across. Nobody else knows, because nobody else has that mandate or the wider view. Of course, as management you have a view, but internal audit folks are actually across. So are you being very forward looking? And today, when you have data scientists, for example, you have analytics, for example, you can predict a lot of things that are happening. To give you an example, every data that is captured in the world, right, can be brought to you by web crawlers. You can use AI to make sense of it, and you can say where the next risk will occur. The next risk can occur for your supplier, so that something happens to that supplier, your manufacturing will have a problem. But are we thinking about those? Are we using those algorithms? Are we forward looking in terms of risks? And again, here I'm not preaching, I'm sure you must be doing it, but just some thoughts for your consideration. The second is an issue versus an insight. So what do I mean by that? We always have issues, so when internal audit are presenting, you have a great issue where somebody has not complied with X, somebody has not complied with Y.
The thing that I wear this badge of the internal auditors. She gave me the badge yesterday. I was wearing a different coat, so I kept that badge inside that coat, and today I wore a different coat, so I missed out on that badge. So in the morning when I came here, she was insisting that where is your badge? So I was very embarrassed, so I said that you better get me one more. So she got me one more, and I wore that. Now the point here is the passion. The passion for the profession, the passion for the institute. I think she deserves a round of applause for that. Well, I was attending a Chief Executives Forum of the Mr. IFAC in US for 2 days. And people from AICPH were making a presentation. And they were saying that there was a big exodus of CPAs from that profession. Big exodus. They were saying 7,000 have left the profession, CPAs. And the gentleman was making a presentation, and let me tell you, the chief executives of all the institutes across the world were all present there. And I was representing India. Somebody said that audit is boring. Nobody is interested in audit now. That's why most people they want to give up audit, because audit is no longer interesting. So the time for QA came, and there I was standing up. I said I totally disagree with this viewpoint that audit is boring. I think audit could not have been more interesting than today. Because today the opportunities are so much. Technology has ensured that the repetitive transactions are taken out of our hand. And what we have to do is apply our mind. For example, the risk, the forensics. I was talking to them about the social stock exchange in India, the social audit opportunities that has come in India. So I said that when you talk that audit is boring, I said it's totally a wrong concept, and I totally disagree with that. So ladies and gentlemen, we are part of a profession which I think is extremely, extremely innovative and interesting. Somebody also said there, actually, and the problem we face. I said, what's the problem? He says, we are presumed to be not the good guys. We are presumed to be the bad guys. Sometimes we tend to overlook the fraud that has happened. Sometimes because of the non-audit fees that we get, our audit quality suffers. So see, we are sometimes presumed to be not the really good guys, but the bad guys. I said that is totally again a wrong concept. Think of how many frauds the internal auditors must have prevented because they were simply good. I said this kind of statements does not make sense. How many qualifications that we have done as external auditors? How many times we have gone for SS 705, SS 706 in the auditing standards and made qualifications? It is totally wrong to label us as the bad guys. We are totally the good guys. Right? So those of us sometimes we think that, see, maybe things are not happening well. Let me my feeling is totally that we are the good guys. But the problem is that we cannot convey the fact at times that we are the good guys. That we are the good guys who also not only look at the corporate interest, but also at the national interest. So we are really the good guys. So that is very important. But I also said, for which sometimes I was criticized when I was the president of the institute, audit is certainly a serious business. Audit is a serious business. When I made this statement, when I became the president of the institute, so many people, they said that does the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India tell us to get out of audit? I said, I never said that. I said that you do audit because you have a membership number and you have a firm registration number, you walk into your firm, or you're an internal auditor and you think, I will just do the compliances, just tick some boxes and come out and say that, look, I'm qualified and because of that I'm going to do it. I think those days are all gone. Those days are all gone. Times have changed. Times have totally changed. Those days are all gone. So that is very important. Somebody was saying, yesterday somebody was telling me that, we are a small organization, instrumental auditors, 4,500 members maybe. And they were saying that, Devashish, you have been the president of the institute, the second largest accounting body in the world, with 370,000 members, 8 lakh students, huge monolith organization. In front of that is IIA, a small one, those kind of things. Mind you, as I am in the initial stages when I became the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, I used to always start speaking by saying, president of the second largest accounting body in the world. Everywhere I would say, all over the world. People will listen, they won't give me a lot of importance. Right? They'll listen to me and they will say, all right, you see he's going on saying, because nobody was interested. They said, what do you all guys do? Over a period of time, I changed the narrative. I said, it is not the size that matters. For Institute of Internal Audit is also the same thing. It is not the size that matters. It is not even the power that you derive out of the size that matters. Mind you, I was just asking Sid, he was saying we are present in 200 countries of the world, Institute of Internal Auditors. Right? Internationally, you are a huge organization. So it is also not the power or the size that matters. What matters is the respect and dignity that you command. That is what matters at the end. That will determine how successful we have been as a profession, how much we are respected, how much we are dignified. What is the trust that the stakeholders have in the services that we provide? That will matter, that will determine our success in the future. Not only in the future, even today. I have seen technology being taken as one of the topics, the main topic. being fearless, and I totally agree with him. He was saying that, see, you are, insights. Again, I totally agree with him. But along with the word insight, you add a word called foresight. He's saying that internal auditors, you say, you.
Thank you for accepting, sir.
Thank you, Subhashini, and greetings to all. Extremely happy to be part of this All India conference. Can I absorb the shock? It generally is an expression in that context. But when it comes to digital resilience, the term digital resilience, when you read it together, and I come from the digital infrastructure industry, the term digital resilience, contrary to the term resilience individually understood, what it basically means is a dynamic, look at each of these words, a dynamic personality asset which grows actively through engaging with opportunities and challenges online by being digitally active. That's the term digital resilience. It's all about how do you actively engage yourself for growing by engaging with those challenges and the opportunities. And the context of a conference like this, the digital resilience has 4 elements which together comprise digital resilience. One is the ability to understand the risk. Second is an ability of having a process of how to seek help. The third is today, that is learning from experiences. Thanks to KBS and the other team members of the technical committee for putting together such a wonderful set of topics for today and tomorrow. Learning from experiences is one of the 4 elements of digital resilience. The 4th element is the support ecosystem for recovery. I'm sure these 2 days and the technical sessions we have and the wonderful speakers we have, and thanks to all the speakers from all over the country for having taken your time to be here. I wish the conference great success and best wishes to all of you.
Thank you so much, sir. As per your magic.
By India, I congratulate you for being the CEO elect for Deloitte Consulting South Asia. You made India proud. Yeah. Gopal sir, thank you for your insightful speech. Your continuous contribution to the policy development making is unmatched. Thank you so much for that. KB sir, Mrs. Uma, Mr. Manian, Ravi sir, and the entire conference organizing committee, National Council members. Last but not the least, I took this for a pause. The Board of Governors of IIM Madras chapter. Yeah. A big round of applause for all of them. They've done a wonderful job. Thanks for sharing this, sir. I know it takes untiring efforts to stitch such an enticing conference. Thanks to all of you. I will just say one thing, Bhaskarji, we really count on you. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. Won't eat more time and come in way of the power pack sessions that we have. Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in the ocean of knowledge as our galaxy of speakers shower the words of wisdom by these 12 technical sessions of the 3 tracks that we have, the emerging technologies, risk trends, and evolving IEM mindset. Thank you so much.
The opportunity to host the All India event, Mr. Manian, who has been the fulcrum of this event, I would say. We have around 18 sessions, technical sessions, and 2 panel discussions and fireside chats, and we have around more than 300 participants. We have actually broken all records this year. We had to even stop the registration 2 days back because it was overcrowding, and we hope that all the participants get the maximum benefit of this.
I am Manian. I head the technical committee of this particular conference. We have a host of speakers across the country, and there are also speakers joining from abroad. So we expect quite a lot of knowledge sharing, quite a lot of technical sessions, as well as a lot of thought leaders who are all here to share and learn. So we are all looking forward to this exciting event to understand and learn new things and upskill ourselves. Thank you so much.
Very good, in charge of the conference. And this is தமிழில் சொல்லலாமா? உள் தணிக்கையாளர்களின் மாநாடு 2 நாள் நடக்கிறது. இன்றும் நாளையும் கிரவுன் பிளாசா ஹோட்டலில். இதில் 3 விதமான சப்ஜெக்ட் கவர் பண்ணுறோம். அதாவது டெக்னாலஜி, அதுக்கப்புறம் ரிஸ்க்கு, அதுக்கப்புறம் இன்டர்னல் ஆடிட்டர்ஸ் மைண்ட் செட்டு. இந்த 3 இதுலேயும் ஒவ்வொரு இதுலேயும் 4 செஷன், மொத்தம் 12 டெக்னிக்கல் செஷன், 2 பேனல் டிஸ்கஷன், ஒரு ஃபயர் சைட் சேட்டு, இதெல்லாம் கவர் பண்ணி மொத்தம் 26 ஸ்பீக்கர்ஸு. அண்டு சீஃப் கெஸ்ட் வந்து மிஸ்டர் கோபால் கிருஷ்ண அகர்வால், பிஜேபி ஸ்போக்ஸ் பர்சன் and strategic advisor to the government of India, and then Mr. Romal Chetty, Deloitte International chairman elect. அதுக்கப்புறம் CA Institute immediate past president Debashish Mitra. இவங்கெல்லாம் பேசினாங்க inaugural sessionல. It was taken off very well, and we are going to have lot of knowledge sharing in these 2 days. ஸோ இது எல்லாமே எல்லாருக்கும் யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கும். ப்ராக்டிக்கலாக இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு அவங்கவுங்க ஆஃபீஸில் இன்டர்னல் ஆடிட்டர்ஸ்க்கு ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கும். ஸோ வி ஹாவ் ஓவர்வெல்மிங் ரெஸ்பான்ஸ். மொத்தம் 300க்கு மேலே பார்ட்டிசிபெண்ட்ஸு, டெலிகேட்ஸு. ஸோ இந்த 2 நாள் நடக்கிறது. தேங்க்யூ வெரி மச்.